When you first install Claude Code, it doesn't tell you about half of what it can do. You just kind of stumble into features weeks or months later and think, wait, it could actually do this the whole time? So what I did is actually pull together 13 tips that actually matter, and they are ordered from the ones you'll use every single day to the power user features that make Claude Code geniusly dangerous in the best way. Let's get into it. So we're starting with the foundation, and number 13 is /init. So when you start a new project or open an existing one in Claude Code for the first time, the very first thing that you should do is type /init. This command actually tells Claude to read your entire code base and generate a CLAUDE.md file, and that file becomes Claude's project memory. You can have their build commands, test commands, directory structure, coding conventions, architectural decisions, everything it needs to be useful from the jump. You should think of it like onboarding documentation, but Claude writes it for itself. I run this in every single project right now, and for bigger code bases you can go even further. You can create a .claude/rules directory, and this can have markdown files for specific topics like testing, security, or API design. Claude will load all of them automatically, and the difference between a Claude Code session with a CLAUDE.md file and one without it, it's night and day. For me, this is not optional. Always run /init first. Number 12, and this one saves you so much typing, is @mentions. So instead of explaining what file you're talking about, just reference it directly. If you do @src/auth.ts, this will pull the file into context instantly. If you do @src/components, this will reference an entire directory. For example, file suggestions are about 3 times faster in Git repositories, and they support fuzzy matching, so you can type @auth and it finds files like src/utils.authentication.ts without you spelling out the whole path. And this feels small until you realize you're doing it like 30 or 40 times a day, and the gap between I need context and Claude has context will shrink to basically 0 in this case. Number 11 is the prefix, and this is one of those features where once you start using it, you cannot actually go back. So what does the do when you use it as a prefix? Well, normally if you want Claude to run a command for you, you type something like, can you run git status for me? And Claude will process that, generate a response, ask for permissions, and then run it. With the prefix, you just type !git status, and this executes immediately. You don't have any model processing, you don't have any delay, you don't have any wasted tokens. The output gets injected straight into the context. Whatever command you want to run, for example, an ls, a docker ps, whatever you need, it just turns Claude Code into your terminal and your AI assistant at the same time. You don't have to switch windows anymore, and everything lives in one single place. Number 10, and this is the one a lot of people are actually sleeping on, is plan mode. If you press shift+tab twice, Claude switches into a mode where it can actually read your code base, search through it, analyze architecture, explore dependencies, but it won't edit a single line of code until you approve the plan. So what it does behind the scenes, it drafts an implementation strategy first, you'll need to review it, give feedback if needed, and only then does it execute. I default actually to plan mode probably 90% of the time right now, and here's why. Well, Claude Code is powerful, but it moves really fast, and without a plan it can go down a path that makes sense in the moment but doesn't fit the bigger picture. Plan mode actually forces Claude to pause. You can actually catch misalignments before they become pull request problems. The latest version even lets you provide feedback when rejecting plans, so the iteration loop is way faster. Number 9 is /context, and this is your diagnostic tool for when Claude starts acting weird. If you ever had a session where Claude suddenly forgets things you told it 20 minutes ago, well, that's context window pressure. If you type /context, you'll see exactly what's consuming your tokens, whether this is system prompt size, MCP server prompts, your CLAUDE.md file, any loaded skills or agents, or your conversation history. 9 times out of 10, the problem is conversation history bloat. You've been chatting for 2 hours and the entire thread is eating your context window, and /context actually shows you the problem, and now you know to either start a fresh session or prune what's loaded. This isn't a feature you'll actually use every single day, but when you need it, it can save you from hours of frustration. Number 8 is pretty new, and it's Claude Code's Chrome integration, and this is pretty wild if you ask me, because Claude Code can now directly interact with your browser, navigate pages, click buttons, fill forms, read console errors, even inspect the DOM and take screenshots. This is possible through a Chrome extension you install once from Claude. And what does this actually mean? Well, it means fix the bug and verify it works becomes a single prompt. You tell Claude the sign up form on my localhost application throws an error when you submit with an empty email field. And what Claude does, it's actually opening the browser, reproducing the bug, reading the console error, fixing the code, reloading the page, fills in the form for you, and confirms it's resolved. This goes end to end, and you don't need to switch between your terminal, browser, and developer tools. And for full stack developers and front-end developers, this is a complete game changer because your AI assistant isn't just writing code anymore, it's actually testing it in a real browser. Number 7 is Headless mode, and this is one of my favorites because Claude Code now stops being just an interactive tool and becomes part of your automation. The -p flag makes this possible, so you can run Claude non-interactively. It will take a prompt, process it, output the result, and then exit. And that means you can actually pipe things into it, script around it, and drop it even into your CI/CD pipelines. You could do Claude -p fix the lint errors, and this will run your pipeline. You could do a git diff pipe Claude -p explain these changes, and you get instant PR summaries. And for DevOps, this is massive. You can have a GitHub action that runs Claude Code against every PR to flag issues before a human even looks at it. And what's awesome is that this is available today, so you can take advantage of it right now. So number 6 is LSP integration, and this one quietly makes Claude Code smarter than you actually realize. So LSP is the language server protocol, and this is what gives VS Code and other IDEs their code intelligence. So the instant diagnostics, go-to definition, finding references, and type awareness, they are all due to LSP, and Claude Code now supports it, which means that Claude sees errors and warnings immediately after each edit. It understands your code the way your IDE does, and here's why this actually matters. So without LSP, Claude will need to write code and discover problems at build time or test time, just like you would normally. And with LSP, Claude sees the red squiggly lines the moment it actually types them. It catches type errors, missing imports, and broken references instantly. And the feedback loop shrinks from minutes to milliseconds. So if you work in TypeScript, JavaScript, Rust, Golang, Python, any language that has a solid language server, you should definitely enable this. So number 5 is hooks, and this is the answer to how do I trust Claude Code in production. So hooks are actually shell commands that run at specific lifecycle events, before and after tool execution, for example, on permission requests, on notifications, and when subagents start and stop. Hooks can be easily configured via /hooks or in the .claude/settings.json file. And for a practical use case, you could write a pre-tool use hook that blocks rm-rf/ or drop table or any command you want to never run, no matter what. And this is deterministic control over a non-deterministic AI. You can also set up notification hooks to ping Slack when a long-running task finishes, or permission request hooks to auto-approve save commands in trusted directories. And this is what actually makes Claude production grade. It's not about trusting the AI, it's actually about setting boundaries the AI cannot actually cross. Number 4 is ultrathink, and this is the difference between a surface level answer and real architectural insight. When you start a prompt with ultrathink, Claude actually allocates up to 30,000 tokens for internal reasoning before it actually does any responding. This is essentially Claude thinking to itself for the equivalent of several pages before it actually says a word to you. And this should be used for complex architectural decisions, tricky debugging sessions where the obvious fix isn't actually working, or any problem where the first answer is probably not the right one. One note, so ultrathink only works when max thinking tokens isn't set in your config. If that's configured, it takes priority. And one more thing, I don't use this for everything, it would actually slow you down on simple tasks, but when you're designing a caching layer or debugging a race condition that's been haunting you for days, this is the lever you should actually pull. Number 3 is plugins, and if you've ever tried to share your Claude Code setup with a teammate, you know why this actually exists. In the past, sharing your Claude Code configuration meant sending 50 files across 50 directories. That era is actually over now because plugins can actually bundle commands, agents, skills, hooks, and MCP servers into a single package. And with one command, so /plugin install my setup, you have your entire Claude Code workflow replicated. And there's a marketplace with search filtering, so you can actually discover workflows the community have already built. But the real power is internal. Your team packages your company's Claude Code setup once, and every developer loads it. You have the same deployment process, same testing methodology, same documentation standards, and in this way you get no drift. No, oh, I didn't know we had a skill for that. Because plugins make Claude Code shareable. And once you can share your AI workflow, you stop being one developer with a fancy tool and start being a team that moves at the same speed. Number 2 is Subagents, and this is where Claude Code starts to feel less like having a tool and more like having a team. And Subagents are independent Claude instances. Each one gets its own 200k context window. It performs specialized tasks. They run in parallel with other subagents, and they merge output back to the main agent. They can actually run in the background while you keep working, and the real power here is actually parallelization. You can have one subagent writing tests, another prefactoring a module, and the third generating documentation, all at the same time. And because each of these subagents have their own context window, they don't step on each other or bloat your main session. And this is the feature that made me rethink my entire workflow. Instead of doing things sequentially, everything happens in parallel. It's generally like having junior developers you can actually delegate your tasks to. And finally, number 1, the feature that ties everything together is agent skills. So skills are folders of instructions, scripts, and resources that teach Claude specialized tasks. So you package them once and they're usable everywhere, every project, every session. And since agent skills are now an open standard, they work across any tool that actually supports them. So what does this mean to you? Well, you write one skill for your company's deployment process, one for your testing methodology, and one for your documentation standards, and every developer on the team actually loads it. Claude Code instantly knows the right way to do things in your organization. There is no more repeating the same context in every prompt. And skills are the difference between Claude Code being a general purpose AI assistant to being an expert in your specific stack. And this is exactly why this is number 1 on my list, because everything else on this list gets amplified when Claude actually understands your context. Now I can't actually let you go without giving you some bonuses that didn't make the top 13, but these are things that I actually use constantly. So first is Control R, so this is reverse searching your prompt history. You don't need to retype commands you've already given, you can just search and recall. Secondly, Control S, this is prompt stashing. It's like git stash for your prompts. You save a draft, send something else, and your original prompt auto restores when you're ready. Third, the rewind button, double S. So if you go down a what if we do this rabbit hole and it gets weird, you can press ESC twice to jump back to a clean checkpoint, conversation, code changes, or even both. Bash commands cannot be undone, of course, but everything else can. And fourth, /export, this dumps your entire conversation to Markdown, every prompt, every response, every tool call. This is perfect for documentation or proving to yourself that yes, you did already try that particular approach. So that's the full list from /init all the way up to agent skills with Chrome integration, LSP, and plugins in between. The big takeaway here is that Claude Code rewards the developers who invest time in learning how to use it well. It's not about typing do everything for me, it's about knowing when to use plan mode, how to set up hooks, when to pull the ultrathink lever for example, and how to make Claude a true member of your development team. And if you want to go deeper on any of these, I actually have a pretty cool article in the video description that you can check out. If this was useful, please drop a comment with which tip you're actually going to try out first. And if you're not yet subscribed and you want more AI DevOps content, you can just hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.